So you just finished your first practice test, and we're going to look back through a few of the answers and some helpful hints, and I'm going to go kind of fast because we want to make sure we're using your time wisely. So you did the first 12 questions, and you had 15 minutes, and notice the time here, 25 minutes for 20 questions. That's about online. There was no calculator. You get all these formulas. Not sure that these formulas helped you on any of these problems, but they give them to you all the time. These are things you don't have to memorize. Mostly things your math teachers already give you in class. Okay, so we're going to go kind of fast and furious here and check some of these answers. Grade your own and see, kind of keep track, and you get a running tally of what you go. X minus 1 over 3 equals k. K equals 3. Straightforward algebra substitution. K equals 3. Multiply both sides by 3. X minus 1 equals 9. X equals 10. Make sure that you are answering the right question. So letter D. I equals negative 1. Square root of negative 1. What's the sum of these? This is a like terms question. 7 plus negative 8. And 3i and 9i is 12i. So that's, we're adding the like terms together. That's 12i and negative 1. And they cannot be combined. Correct answer is A. Mark them as you go. See if you're getting them right. Saturday afternoon, M text messages for 5 hours. Tyrone sent P text messages for 4 hours, which represents the total number of messages sent by both of them on Saturday afternoon. So Armand sent M per hour for 5 hours, so that's 5M. And Tyrone sent P per hour for 4 hours. So that's plus 4p. Which of the following represents the total? So make sure that you're careful. Just double check you got the M and the P right, because those are kind of close together. In math, it's a bad strategy to look at the choices before you read the question, because it's not like science where you might know some of the definitions. You need to be able to look at the choices after you solve the problem. Okay, so next problem. Phone technician repair, blah, blah, blah. She gets a batch of phones. The number of phones she has left to fix at the end of the week. The end of each day can be estimated by this equation. So P equals 108 minus 23D, where P is the number of phones left and D is the number of days she has worked that week. What's the meaning of the value 108 in this equation? So a couple things you can think about here. You can think about what happens when you haven't worked at all. So the number of days per week is 0, and P still is 108. Well, 108 would be a starting amount. How many phones are in that thing? Because if she hasn't worked any days, she hasn't fixed any phones. So after the first day, she's fixed 23. There's 108 minus 23, and so forth. So then you can look at the choices. She starts each week. So correct answer B. Moving through this kind of quickly. I don't want to take too much of your time. Kind of focus on the heavy stuff here. Which of the following is equivalent to the expression above? This is strictly a combining like terms question. I have an x squared y, and then I have an opposite of x squared y. So I distribute this minus all the way through here. So I'm just going to rewrite this right here. So this is the opposite of x squared y. This is the opposite of 3xy squared. I'm going to line it up right here. That's this term. And then this is the opposite of negative 3y squared, which would be plus 3y squared. And then you can just add them up. Line up your like terms. Boom. 2x squared y. That's 0. 2xy squared. Hopefully that's one of your choices. If it isn't, you find a different one. There it is. Boom. Again, they're going to have the mistake that if you don't distribute your negative, it's going to be there. Pediatrician uses the model above to estimate height in inches of a term of a boy's age between the age of 2 and 15, blah, 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 blah. What is the estimated increase of a boy's height each year? So, again, thinking about if you start at 1, if you plug in 1, that's the first year. You plug in 2, that's the next year. And you kind of see that this number changes. This is our constant, and we're going up by 3 every time. That's the slope. That's the change. Slope is change. That should be pretty straightforward after all that algebra we put you through. Okay, this one looks complicated. Don't make it too complicated. It's a big fancy payoff loan value formula, but you don't even need to know how to use the formula. You just need to know how to manipulate the formula. So they're saying this gives the payment to pay off a loan at R%. Which of the following gives P in terms of M, R, and N? So in other words, we're solving for P in M, R, and N. So look at what you have here, and we got to get P by itself. To get P by itself, I need to move everything to the other side. I want P to stay here, and so I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So actually, this is one where you can look at the choices and figure out what your answer is going to be pretty quickly. So to multiply by the reciprocal, that means it's going to flip what's in the numerator and denominator. So this is going to now be in the numerator. So if you look, right there's a choice where that's in the numerator, and this is going to go in the denominator, and then M is just still over here. But we got our choice B. So it's not, don't let it scare you off just because there's some fancy terminology there. Number 8, A over B is 2. What's the value of 4B over A? Okay, a couple ways to think about this one. You can just try, it's multiple choice. You can plug in some numbers and see what you want to find out. But if you think about it this way, A over B is 2 over 1. Okay, that's an equation. That you can do this. A equals, A times 1 equals 2 times B. Everybody likes proportions. So go back here and look, 4B over 2B, 4 over 2 is 2. System of equations. The only thing I would say to be careful on this one, they switch the x and y around. So negative x plus 2y equals negative 19. You have done